Hi, I'm Nick Palmisano.
And I'm Matt Finney.
And this is the Bad News Network. People need to settle down with their hard as fuck takes about the coronavirus. We've got politicians saying we're not going to open up until August. We also have politicians who won't wear masks because they're tough guys or something. Both sides right now are trying to claim some kind of moral superiority, and frankly, it's comical. You know who overwhelmingly wants people to stay home forever for this thing? People who are entirely unaffected or marginally affected by the disease. You know who doesn't want to be locked in their houses any longer? People whose entire lives are falling apart because their businesses are locked down, their jobs are shut out, and there's nothing they can do about it while they can't put food on the table for their family. Keeping the economy closed until July or August is insane. And this is coming from a guy whose businesses have largely been unaffected by the virus. You have to allow people the decision to take some risk if that's what they want to do. There's this vision right now that there are only two choices. Do absolutely nothing and just basically say, YOLO, and just go for it and whoever dies, dies. Or dig a giant hole and live in a cave for the rest of your life until there's a cure. Both of these concepts is stupid, and really rational, normal people are not advocating for either. Folks, there might never be a cure. This might just be the way that life is from here on out, the same way the flu works on an annual basis. Life still has to continue. There's a middle ground where individuals and businesses are afforded the opportunity to make the decision that is best for them. We can employ social distancing in public settings. Restaurants can space people far apart and clean at a far higher rate. But we can't force half the country to lose everything because people like me, who generally haven't been affected by this thing, would rather be more safe. I can choose to stay inside. You can choose to go outside. That's the direction that we're going to need to head if we don't want to see this country end up in a very bad place in a very short time. And this isn't me saying that this is some kind of a mission accomplished moment. The problem is there's no easy answer here, and you cannot pause life indefinitely regardless of the risk.
At least 19 Iranian Navy crewmen are dead and 15 more injured after an anti-ship missile struck the Konarak while performing naval exercises. Iran is asking everyone to avoid speculation while they investigate the causes. But let me be clear, from where I'm sitting, there's no speculation. This is a clean-cut case of Iranian ineptitude to do anything right with deadly military equipment. Not so long ago, they shot down a commercial airliner because they thought it was a cruise missile. You're batting 1,000 for self-destruction right now, Iran. This is why you can't have nice things, and this is definitely why you can't have nuclear missiles. Your country is like a toddler with a fork in its hand surrounded by electrical sockets. You need a little regime change and to go back to the ultra-educated Persian Empire way of doing things. Let's go, people. We can get this done.
Near a border crossing in Tibet, a gigantic fistfight broke out between 150 Indian and Chinese military personnel. The two countries share a wide border through mountainous and inhospitable terrain that is hotly contested after the two countries went to war in 1962. Aggressive behavior by both sides led to a 15,000-foot high-altitude game of mass fisticuffs. This soon escalated to stone throwing, with both sides claiming they had never sinned. A spokesperson for the Indian Army said the dispute was later resolved through interaction and local dialogue, whatever that means. But I think we all know what these two parties really need.
Apparently, Yogi Bear and Boo Boo didn't get the message about social distancing during the pandemic. This week, two women in Tennessee were surprised when a group of bears surrounded their cabin and decided it was time to take a look inside. The leader of the bear group, aka Papa Bear, was able to unlock a door and make his way inside. One of the women in the cabin, Michelle Eberhardt, noticed some movement out of the corner of her eye. She realized it was a 200-pound black bear that didn't come to ask her if she had found Jesus. Michelle quickly alerted her friend and they made their way upstairs where they locked themselves in a bedroom while the bear perused the house. While the bears did damage some of the furniture in the cabin, the main thing is they absconded with over 8 pounds of candy. So I guess the real headline of the story is, Hero Bear breaks into cabin and saves 2 women from eventual diabetes. That's probably not the headline the two women were looking for, but I'm proud to be the bearer of bad news.
Speaking of bears, there's a new bear in town, and he's patriotic, has an amazing coif, and bangs strippers. His name? Trumpy Bear. To be honest, I don't know if this is news or not, but we were all sitting around when the most magical, insane, over-the-top ad came across our feed. It's a bear that looks like Donald Trump, but you can stuff a flag into his butt. This ad was so horrible and glorious all at the same time that I couldn't look away, and if I have to see it, so do you. Now, covering this bear does not equal endorsement. We at BNN provide nonpartisan bear coverage and will continue to cover polar bears, black bears, grizzly bears, Kodiak bears, which is a subset of the brown bear, which eats only fish and tends to grow larger than the grizzly bear itself, as well as the Pelosi bear.
This week, a woman decided she was done with isolation and quarantine, decided to go out into Yellowstone Park and take wonderful Instagram nature photos. While having her face buried in her iPhone while she walked about nature, the woman managed to fall into a thermal pond right next to Old Faithful. The woman survived and is unharmed, so we're able to make fun of her. The Yellowstone National Park Rangers urged everybody, guys or girls, to stay out. Medal of Honor recipient Staff Sergeant Ronald Schur II died of lung cancer this week at the age of 41. He leaves behind his wife and his 2 boys. Fair winds, sir.
The Democrats are looking to pursue another stimulus check, again for $1,200 per individual or $2,400 per couple. They're also adding $1,200 per dependent up to 3 dependents, which is an increase from last time's $600 per dependent. It's very clear, of course, that after 3 dependents, there's no additional cost. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said that the additional payments are necessary for the survival of many Americans.
Wildfires, locusts, coronavirus, and murder hornets. What does nature have for us next? Where else could we go with this? I'll tell you where. A new invasive species of lizards have been spotted in 2 Georgia counties. The Argentine black and white tigris, from, Argentina, was first spotted in Florida and has been making its way northward. Now, it's not a threat to humans, but it could take over the wildlife much like the Burmese python did in the Everglades. They eat basically anything they want, but they prefer eggs from either gophers or tortoises. They also have a distinct taste for caviar and also prefer Mediterranean cuisine. The lizards are generally black and white and can grow up to 4.5 feet long, leading many people to believe that they're baby alligators. They pose a threat to many hives and burrows of the local wildlife, but I do have one question. Can they take over the hive of murder hornets? If they can do that, they can stay.
A viral video was captured this past Mother's Day when an angry Karen marched into Red Lobster because she was tired of waiting and loudly proclaimed to all of the Red Lobster employees that she needed to get her money back. She entered with hostility and was removed with aggression by the fine people at Red Lobster. The owner of the Red Lobster had this to say: "We believe the customer is always right, unless, of course, you're a crazy bitch that tries to break into my closed establishment and give me the rona. In that case, Karen's gonna catch some smoke."
Uber, the ride-sharing giant pioneer, received some flack this week for laying off customer service team members to the count of 3,500 people over a Zoom call this week. It's all pretty wild that 3,500 people all gathered around their computer screens only to be told, "You're out." It's not surprising, however, that the travel giant has yet to post profit shares and that travel by car during the quarantine has been reduced by 50%. And without we the people stumbling drunkenly into our Uber pool while puking outside the window to avoid that $250 cleaning fee, what is Uber to do? Nothing. Not a goddamn thing, except fire 3,500 people over Zoom.
Takeshi 6ix9ine hasn't been murdered yet, and our Deadpool increases. Instead, he's announced that he's going to donate 10% of his new album to No Kid Hungry. This amounted to about $200,000, which is amazing. However, upon hearing about the donation, No Kid Hungry decided that they would reject it. Why? because they claim he did not share their values. Fair enough. The guy has a criminal record a mile long. Child molestation charges, gang-related activities, racketeering, murder, and the only reason he's not in prison for the rest of his life is because he sold a ton of other people out. But in all seriousness, you take that money and you feed those kids. You can get up on a podium and be like, this guy's a real piece of crap, but I'm still gonna take his money, because feeding those kids is more important than having the moral high ground about who's going to give you money. Come on, guys, let's go. Let's feed some kids.
A Bible study group in California is suing Zoom after its Zoom meeting was hacked and porn bombed.
Chicka bow wow, chicka bow wow wow.
When the users tried to quit, start a new meeting, and join again, lo and behold, they were only met again with the unholy horizontal tango. The Bible group reached out to Zoom for a response, but Zoom had nothing to say about the matter. And now the Bible group hopes to rain down litigious hellfire on the digital communications group. One anonymous religious zealot apparently commented on the incident, saying, "Members were thrust into a sticky situation when the hacker was allowed to come inside the meeting." The whole thing was pretty nuts.
Sergeant Brian Miller of the Broward County Sheriff's Office is set to be reinstated with back pay. Miller is the LEO that responded to Parkland High School as the Parkland shooter roamed the halls. More importantly, he's the LEO that hid behind his car, didn't go into the building, and didn't report the incident for 10 minutes following arriving at the scene. The BSO Deputies Association, a union representing Miller, claimed that his rights had been violated when he was fired without due process. He and 4 others were fired for neglect of duty as well as child neglect. I'm sure the community is thrilled that he will be returning to service. They're probably also super proud of the BSO. Rest assured that if danger rears its ugly head once again, Miller will not be there, but will instead be hiding behind his car doing absolutely nothing of value. Not everyone has the mental ability to run towards gunfire, and that's completely okay. But every cop has to have that ability. I honestly don't even know how you accept that uniform back, Mr. Miller. I know that there's no way that I could after your performance.
In international news, renowned French serial killer expert Stéphane Bourgeon has admitted that his entire life's work has been completely fabricated, including the story that his wife was killed by a serial killer. He was the author of over 40 crime books and claimed to have interviewed over 70 serial killers. However, he recently admitted that he never had any training by the FBI, he never talked to Charles Manson, and he made everything up because he wanted to be popular with and score with chicks. He went on to say that while he isn't a serial killer expert, he sure can kill some cereal. His favorite? Captain Crunch.
The end of the coronavirus lockdown came a little too early for Alessia Suspitsin, a 31-year-old Kazakhstani tour guide. After weeks of coronavirus lockdown, Turkey opened up, and Alessia and a friend went to Duden Park, which is famous for its waterfalls. Alessia climbed over a fence so that her friend could take a picturesque photo, and she slipped, falling 115 feet to her death. Police have ruled out foul play, but the lesson is as old as time. Don't go chasing waterfalls.
This week, Elon Musk scored a 10-9 round against the state of California. Under California law, Elon Musk's Tesla manufacturing plant was free to open back up when Governor Gavin Newsom took steps to lift the lockdown order. But Newsom stated that local authorities had the right to supersede the state's laws with their own rules. Alameda County, where Musk's factory is located, opted to continue with the stay-at-home order and told Musk he's got to remain closed. Musk tweeted on Monday that he's willing to risk arrest by opening back up, going against the county's orders. He also said that he was seriously considering moving his manufacturing plant to Texas or any other state that would have him. A state judge in Texas even sent him a letter saying, "Come on down." But by Tuesday, it seems that Alameda County has relaxed the restrictions, backed down, and allowed him to open back up. The county said that they will be allowing him to operate business as usual, to which Musk replied, "That's right."
A tree-killing bacterium called Xella fastidiosa, which sounds a lot like a Harry Potter spell, is killing olive oil trees everywhere in Italy, and this is dangerous, people. Since 2013, this bacteria has killed millions of trees in Italy and is now pushing into Spain and Greece. And we might have an olive oil shortage, people. Since 2013, the bacteria has already killed millions of trees in Italy and is now pushing into Spain and Greece, which might cause a major olive oil shortage. Maria Saponari, a plant virologist from Italy, likens the disease to coronavirus. There is no cure, it spreads quickly, and the way that it clots up the inside of the tree is very similar to the way that the coronavirus clots up our lungs. The disease prevents trees from absorbing water, which allows them to die. On the outside, you see the leaves desiccate, then the tree turns gray, and then the tree slowly dies. The disease flourishes in warm weather and is spread by bugs. Olive farmers in Puglia have tried everything. They've tried different fertilizers, different treatments, they've tried quarantine. Nothing seems to work. They haven't even been able to flatten the curve, never mind stop it. I want to be clear that as an Italian, I'm a lot more worried about an olive oil shortage than I am the coronavirus. Life is going to end for all of us at some point, but life without olive oil isn't worth living. And finally, in Florida man news, a man by the name of Richard Hartsock, aged 28, decided to start talking a lot of crap to the would-be victim. When the victim talked back, he decided the best course of action was to throw a homemade ninja star at the man. When the star hit him, the man was incensed, called 911, and then put Hartsock in a headlock, pushing his face into the dirt. The police arrived at the scene with the victim holding the man in a headlock, screaming, "It's time to plant a dumbass tree." God bless you, Florida. And with that, I'm Nick Palmisano.
And I'm Matt Finney.
And this is the Bad News Network. Our news is at least as bad as the news you're getting already, and if Elon Musk decides to leave California in favor of Texas or Nevada, I hope he has an Everything Musk Go sale. Don't forget, use code BNN at rangerup.com for 25% off. Have a great weekend. We will be back next week with more small business shoutouts.